"Just a few more hours," she whispered to her babies, gently touching her big belly. The plane was full when flight attendant Olivia walked by, giving drinks to passengers. Emma saw how Olivia smiled warmly at everyone else, but hardly looked at hers. "Excuse me," Emma said nicely. "Could I have a pillow for my back? It's very uncomfortable." Olivia seemed not to hear her and kept serving other passengers. Emma waited patiently, thinking Olivia was busy and would come back. After 15 minutes, Emma pressed her call button. "Yes?" Olivia came back looking bothered. "I'm sorry to trouble you," Emma said, "but I asked for a pillow earlier. My back is really hurting." "We're very busy right now," Olivia said shortly, then walked away. Emma watched as Olivia quickly helped a businessman across the aisle who had just pressed his button. The man got a pillow and a blanket within seconds. Feeling more and more uncomfortable, Emma pressed her button once more. This time, Olivia came back with a pillow, sighed loudly, and threw it carelessly. The pillow hit Emma's shoulder before landing on her lap. "There," Olivia said, walking away. "Some people think they should get special treatment." Emma sat shocked, trying not to cry as several passengers looked away, acting like they didn't see what happened. Emma felt her heart beating fast. She had never been treated so rudely before, especially not when she was clearly pregnant and in pain. She took a deep breath and tried to adjust the pillow behind her back. The twins were kicking, as if they could feel her stress. A kind-looking older woman across the aisle caught Emma's eye. She gave Emma a small, sympathetic smile. That tiny bit of kindness made Emma's eyes fill with tears again. But this time, from feeling that someone had noticed her pain, Emma pulled out her phone. Her husband James needed to know about this. James was not just any businessman. He owned most of this airline, though few people knew this. He liked to keep a low profile and had never used his position for special treatment. "Had a bad experience on the flight," she typed. "Tell you when I land." "Don't worry, babies and I are fine," James replied right away. "What happened? Are you sure you're okay?" "Yes, just upset. Flight attendant was very rude." "Document everything," James texted back. "I'll meet you at the airport." Emma opened her notes app and wrote down everything that had happened while it was fresh in her mind. Writing helped calm her down. The older woman across the aisle leaned over slightly. "Are you all right, dear?" she asked quietly. "Yes, thank you," Emma replied, touched by her concern. "I saw what happened," the woman said. "It wasn't right at all. Would you like me to say something to her?" Emma shook her head. "It's okay. But thank you for asking, that means a lot." The woman introduced herself as Dorothy. "I fly often," she said. "I've never seen such poor service. Don't let it upset you too much. It's not good for the little ones." Emma nodded, placing her hand on her belly where one of the twins was kicking strongly. "They're active today," she said with a small smile. "They're letting you know they're on your side," Dorothy said with a wink. For the next hour, Emma tried to rest. Her back still hurt, but the pillow helped a little. She thought about what she would say when they landed. She didn't want revenge or to get Olivia fired, but this kind of treatment wasn't right, and it needed to be addressed. As the plane began to land, Emma felt better knowing James would be waiting. He always knew how to handle difficult situations with calm and dignity. Together, they would make sure this became a moment for positive change, not just a bad memory. The plane touched down smoothly. As passengers started to get up and collect their bags, Emma stayed seated, waiting for the crowd to thin out before attempting to stand with her heavy belly. Olivia walked past, helping other passengers, still avoiding eye contact with Emma. Dorothy stopped by Emma's seat on her way out. "Good luck, dear," she said, "and congratulations on your twins." "Thank you," Emma replied, "for everything." As Emma finally stood up, she placed one hand on her back and the other on her belly. In just a few minutes, she would see James. And, together, they would show that treating people with respect wasn't just the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do. Claude should cite search results when the response relies on that information. Proper citations use tags with the correct index attributes. Each specific claim from search results should be cited. Citations should use the minimum number of sentences necessary. Use index values that correspond to the search results. Emma's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. Her heart was still beating fast after the way Olivia had thrown the pillow at Her. She needed to tell James what happened. Few people knew that James Miller wasn't just a regular businessman. He owned most of British Airways, the very airline Emma was flying on right now. James never told people about this. He liked to live a normal life without special treatment. Something happened on the flight, Emma typed into her phone. I'll tell you when I land. James answered right away. Are you and the babies okay? Emma felt a little better seeing his quick reply. He was always there for her. We're fine, she wrote back. Just upset, nothing serious. Document everything, James told her. I'll meet you at the airport. Emma took a deep breath. The twins were moving around, sensing her stress. She gently rubbed her belly to calm them and herself. It's okay, little ones, she whispered. Mummy's fine. She opened the journal app on her phone and began to write. She wrote not just what Olivia did, but how it made her feel as a black woman, as a mother-to-be, as a person who deserved respect, just like anyone else. The words flowed from her fingers as she described the hurt and shame she felt when Olivia ignored her and then threw the pillow at her. Writing helped Emma feel calmer. Her heart stopped racing so fast. She knew James would help make things right, but she didn't want revenge. She wanted change. Across the aisle, an older woman with silver hair caught Emma's eye. The woman gave her a kind smile. Her name tag from an earlier conversation read, Dorothy. Are you all right, dear? Dorothy whispered, leaning slightly toward Emma. Yes, thank you, Emma replied. The small act of kindness touched her deeply after Olivia's coldness. I saw what happened, Dorothy said in a low voice. It wasn't right at all. Would you like me to say something to that flight attendant? Emma shook her head. It's okay, but thank you for asking. That means more than you know. Dorothy nodded. I've been flying for 50 years, and I've never seen such poor service, especially to someone in your condition. I think some people just have bad days, Emma said, though she wasn't sure that explained Olivia's behavior. Perhaps, Dorothy replied, not looking convinced. But that's no excuse for rudeness, especially in her job. For the next hour, Emma focused on staying calm. The babies needed her to be peaceful. She finished writing everything down and then closed her eyes, thinking about what she would say when they landed. She didn't want to get Olivia fired. That wouldn't solve anything. But she did want the airline to know how she had been treated. People needed to speak up when things weren't right, or nothing would ever change. Dorothy offered Emma a mint. For the landing, she explained. Helps with ear pressure. Thank you, Emma said, taking it gratefully. My daughter is expecting twins too, Dorothy shared. They're such a blessing, Emma smiled. Yes, they are, though my back might disagree right now. Emma Watson, 8 months pregnant with twins, slowly walked down the aisle of the first-class cabin. Her back hurt badly as she found her seat by the window. She was going to visit her mother, who had just had surgery and needed help. They both laughed softly, and Emma felt better having someone kind to talk to. How far along are you? Dorothy asked. 8 months, Emma replied. Just a few more weeks to go. Well, you look beautiful, Dorothy said warmly. And you're going to be a wonderful mother, I can tell. As the plane began to descend, the captain announced they would be landing soon. Emma felt one of the twins kick strongly right under her. Ribs. Ouch, she said, but she was smiling as she placed her hand over the spot. It was almost as if the baby was saying, We're with you, Mum, Dorothy noticed. Active little ones, aren't they? Very, Emma agreed, especially when I'm trying to rest. The plane dipped lower, the city coming into view below. Emma thought about James waiting at the airport. He always knew how to handle difficult situations calmly. Together they would address what had happened today, not out of anger or a desire for punishment, but because respect mattered, because small acts of unkindness could grow into bigger problems if no one ever said anything. As the plane touched down, Emma gathered her things. Olivia passed by, still not looking at her. Emma didn't try to catch her eye. That conversation would happen soon enough. Good luck, dear, Dorothy said as passengers began to stand. With everything. Thank you for your kindness, Emma replied. It made all the difference. Dorothy smiled. Sometimes all we need is one person to see us, really see us, when others... Look away. Emma nodded, those words striking home. As she carefully stood up, supporting her back with one hand, she felt ready to face whatever came next. With James by her side, a new life growing inside her, she had all the strength she needed. Whatever happened with Olivia and the airline, Emma would handle it with grace and dignity, because that's who she was, and that's what she would teach her children to be. James waited at the airport gate, scanning the crowd for Emma. His tall figure stood out as he checked his watch nervously. When he finally saw her walking slowly with her hand on her back, his face lit up with relief. "Emma," he called, rushing to her side. He gave her a gentle hug, careful of her large belly. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Emma said, though her eyes told a different story. "Just tired and a bit upset." James looked at his wife closely. "Tell me exactly what happened." As Emma explained about Olivia throwing the pillow and her rude comments, James's face grew serious. He was not an angry man by nature, but seeing his pregnant wife treated poorly made his jaw tighten. "I don't want to cause trouble," Emma finished. "But it wasn't right, James." "No, it wasn't," James agreed. "And it's not about who I am or who you are. No one should be treated that way." They walked to the customer service desk where a young man named Thomas greeted them. "How can I help you today?" Thomas asked with a smile. "We'd like to speak with the flight manager, please," James said politely but firmly. Thomas looked uncertain. "Is there something I can help with first?" "I'd prefer to speak directly with the manager," James repeated. "It's about an incident." "On the flight?" "Of course, sir. One moment." 5 minutes later, a tall man in a crisp uniform approached them. "I'm William Parker, the flight manager. I understand there was a problem?" "Is there somewhere private we can talk?" James asked. William led them to a small office near the gate. Emma sat down gratefully, her back still aching. "My wife experienced something troubling on her flight today," James began. "I think it's important for you to hear about it." William turned to Emma. "Please tell me what happened, Mrs. Miller." Emma described the incident calmly, without anger but not hiding how it made her feel. "I asked for a pillow because my back was hurting. The flight attendant, Olivia, ignored me several times. When she finally brought a pillow, she threw it at me. It hit my shoulder." William's expression grew concerned. "That's very serious. We don't tolerate that kind of behavior." "There's more," Emma continued. "After throwing the pillow, she muttered something about some people thinking they deserve special treatment. I felt humiliated." William shook his head. "I'm very sorry this happened. I'll need to speak with Olivia to get her side of the story." "Of course," James nodded. "That's only fair." William stepped out and returned 10 minutes later with Olivia. She looked surprised to see Emma and James waiting. Her face showed no sign of recognition. "Olivia," William said, "these passengers have raised a serious concern about their flight experience. Mrs. Miller says you threw a pillow at her and made an unkind comment. Can you tell me what happened?" Olivia straightened her uniform. "I was very busy today. I don't remember throwing anything. I simply handed her the pillow she requested." Emma didn't argue. She simply looked at Olivia steadily. "And did you make any comments about special treatment?" William asked. "Absolutely not," Olivia said firmly. "I would never say something unprofessional." There was an awkward silence. Emma and James exchanged glances. Just then there was a knock at the door. Another flight attendant peeked in. "Excuse me," she said. "I'm Lucy. I was working in first class today too. I saw what happened, and I think you should know the truth." William invited her in. "Please tell us what you saw." Lucy looked nervous but determined. Olivia did throw the pillow. It wasn't handed over nicely, and she did make that comment about special treatment. "I was serving drinks nearby and heard everything clearly." Olivia's face flushed red. "You're taking their side. You don't even know who they are." "That's exactly the point," James said quietly. "It shouldn't matter who we are. Everyone deserves respect." William looked deeply troubled. "Olivia, this is very serious. If what Lucy says is true—" "It is true," Lucy insisted. Mrs. Miller asked politely several times. She was ignored while other passengers received immediate help. Olivia crossed her arms. "Fine. Maybe I wasn't as careful as I could have been with the pillow. We were short-staffed today." William turned to Emma and James. "I want to offer my sincere apologies. This is not how we train our staff to behave." Before we continue, James said, I should mention something. My name is James Miller. I own a controlling stake in this airline. The room fell completely silent. William's eyes widened. Olivia's face went from red to white. I didn't know, Olivia stammered. That's exactly my point, James said gently. You shouldn't need to know who someone is to treat them with basic kindness and respect. Mr. Miller, William began, I can assure you, James held up his hand. I'm not here as an owner. I'm here as a husband who saw his pregnant wife upset after being treated poorly. Emma reached for James's hand. We don't want anyone to lose their job, she said. We just want to make sure this doesn't happen to someone else. Olivia looked at the floor. For the first time, she seemed to truly see Emma, not just as a demanding passenger, but as a pregnant woman who had been in pain. I'm sorry, Olivia said quietly. I was wrong. William promised to address the situation properly. As they left the office, Emma felt relieved. Not because James's position had been revealed, but because speaking up might help change things for the better. You handled that with such grace, James told her as they walked to the car. I'm proud of you. Emma smiled, placing her hand on her belly where the twins were kicking. I want our children to know that standing up for what's right doesn't mean standing over others. It means standing tall yourself. 1 week after the incident on the plane, Emma and James sat in a large meeting room at the airline's head office. The company had offered to fire Olivia right away, but Emma and James had asked for this meeting instead. Across the table sat 10 people in business suits, the airline's board of directors. They looked serious and a bit nervous. No one liked problems that could hurt the company's name. Thank you all for meeting with us, James began. As you know, my wife had an unpleasant experience on one of our flights. William, the flight manager who had helped them at the airport, nodded. We're prepared to terminate Olivia's employment immediately. Emma shook her head. That's not what we want. The board members looked surprised. Firing one person doesn't fix the bigger problem, Emma explained simply. We have a chance to make real change instead. James smiled at his wife with pride. Emma and I have been talking about this all week. We'd like to propose a new training program for all staff, one that teaches about treating everyone with respect and about the biases we all have without even knowing it. The board chairman, Robert, leaned forward. What exactly are you suggesting, Mr. Miller? A company-wide initiative, James replied. We're calling it Dignity in Flight. Every employee would take part, from pilots to ground crew. Just then, there was a knock at the door. William opened it, spoke quietly to someone, then turned back to the room. Olivia is here, he announced. She's asked if she can speak to the group. Emma nodded. Of course. Olivia walked in, looking very different from the confident flight attendant on the plane. Her hands shook slightly as she stood at the end of the table. What I did was wrong, she began, her voice trembling. There's no excuse for it. I've spent every day since thinking about why I acted that way. The room was silent as she continued. I didn't see Mrs. Miller as a person who needed help. I saw her as— Olivia paused, struggling for words. As someone I could ignore. Someone less important than the other passengers. She turned to face Emma directly. I'm truly sorry. I understand if you want me gone from the company. Emma looked at Olivia for a long moment. Actually, she said, surprising everyone, I'd like you to help create the new training program. Your experience could be very valuable. Olivia's eyes widened. You want me to help after what I did? The best teachers are often those who've learned hard lessons themselves, Emma said gently. Over the next 3 months, as Emma's belly grew even larger, the Dignity in Flight program took shape. James worked closely with the team, sharing his own stories during the first training session. People see my expensive suit before they see my skin color, he told a room full of airline staff. But not everyone has that protection. My wife didn't that day on the plane. Lucy, the flight attendant who had spoken up about what really happened, was given a new job helping to lead the program. She worked with Olivia, who surprised everyone by becoming one of the most committed team members. Emma, despite being close to her due date, attended many of the planning meetings. Her doctor had told her to rest more, but she felt this work was too important. During one meeting, Olivia sat next to Emma while they reviewed the new training videos. The hardest part of all this, Olivia said quietly, was admitting to myself that I treated you differently because of how you look. I didn't think I was that kind of person. Emma nodded understandingly. Most people don't think they're that kind of person, she said. That's exactly why we need to talk about it. I've been asking myself why I did it, Olivia continued. I think sometimes when we're stressed or tired, our worst thoughts come out before we can stop them. That's true, Emma agreed. But we can learn to recognize those thoughts and change them. The program included stories from passengers who had felt disrespected, role-playing exercises, and clear examples of good and poor service. But most importantly, it created spaces for honest talk about how people see and treat each other. Dorothy, the kind older woman from Emma's flight, was invited to join as an advisor. Her 50 years of flying experience brought valuable perspective to the team. In my day, people dressed up to fly, and service was so personal, she told the group. We've lost some of that human connection. This program brings it back. As the launch day for the program approached, Emma's doctor ordered her to stay home. The twins could arrive any day now. I'll represent both of us, James promised her. On the big day, James stood before 300 airline employees. Olivia and Lucy sat in the front row. My wife wanted me to tell you all something, James said. She said that sometimes the most important journeys aren't the ones that take us around the world, but the ones that bring us closer to understanding each other. The room filled with applause as James looked out at the faces, pilots, flight, attendants, check-in staff, and many others. He knew that one difficult moment on a plane had turned into something much bigger and more important than anyone could have imagined. Back at home, Emma smiled as she read James's text about the successful launch. She rubbed her belly gently. Your dad is doing good work today, she told the twins. Soon you'll be here to see a world that's just a little bit kinder. Early on a spring morning, Emma held her new baby boy, Oliver, while James cradled Thomas. The twins had arrived safely after a long night of labor. Emma was tired, but so happy as she looked at her perfect little boys. They're beautiful, James whispered, gently touching Thomas's tiny hand. Like their father, Emma smiled. The hospital room was filled with flowers. There were roses from James's parents, daisies from Emma's mother, and many bouquets from friends and co-workers. But one small bunch of yellow flowers caught Emma's eye. Who are those from? She asked. James picked up the card and read it aloud. Thank you for teaching me that true strength comes from compassion. Wishing you and your family every happiness, Olivia. Emma smiled. That was thoughtful of her. In the 6 months since the incident on the plane, many things had changed. The Dignity and Flight program had spread across the entire airline. All staff, from pilots to baggage handlers, had taken part. At first, some people had been doubtful. They thought it was just another boring training that wouldn't change anything. But soon, everyone could see the difference. Passengers noticed that staff treated them more kindly. Staff found that their jobs became more enjoyable when they connected better with travelers. The airline's customer satisfaction scores went up month after month. Other airlines began to notice. They sent people to learn about the program so they could create their own versions. What had started as one bad moment on a plane was now changing. How people were treated across the whole industry. Olivia had surprised everyone by becoming the program's strongest supporter. She spoke honestly about her mistake and what she had learned. Her story helped others understand how easy it was to treat people badly without even realizing it. Lucy had been promoted to lead the training team. She often said that speaking up that day in the airport office was the best decision she had ever made. The biggest surprise came when Dorothy, the kind woman who had sat across from Emma on the flight, was hired as a senior advisor. At 75 years old, she brought wisdom and experience that younger staff members respected deeply. 1 year after the twins were born, on their first birthday, Emma stood on a stage at the airline's big yearly meeting. James sat in the front row with Oliver and Thomas, now active 1-year-olds with bright eyes and happy smiles. A year ago, I had an experience that many people face every day, Emma told the large audience. Someone treated me as if I didn't matter. She paused, looking out at the hundreds of faces watching her. The difference was that I had a way to speak up. My husband's position gave me that chance, but everyone deserves to be treated with respect, not just those with connections or power. Emma saw Olivia sitting near the front. She looked very different, now more confident but also kinder. Olivia gave Emma a small nod of agreement. When we face bad treatment, we have choices, Emma continued. We can get angry. That's natural, but it rarely changes things for the better. We can stay quiet, which might feel safer, but leaves the problem in place. Or we can speak up with both kindness and firmness, asking for better, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who comes after us. In the audience, Dorothy wiped away a tear. Emma smiled at her, remembering how that small act of kindness on the plane had meant so much when everyone else looked away. This program isn't just about being nice, Emma said. It's about seeing each person's full humanity. It's about understanding that the woman with the crying baby, the man in the wheelchair, or the teenager on their first flight, they all deserve the same care and respect as anyone else. As Emma finished speaking, James walked onto the stage, carrying both twins. The boys were dressed in matching blue outfits, waving their little hands at all the people. The whole room stood up, clapping loudly. They weren't cheering for the wife of the airline's owner. They were applauding a woman who had turned a hurtful moment into a movement that was making life better for thousands of travelers every day. Remember, Emma said as her final words, how we treat each other in our worst moments shows more about who we are than how we act in our best times. Choose to treat others with dignity, always. As the clapping continued, Emma looked at her family. Oliver and Thomas would grow up in a world where their parents had helped make things a little bit better. That was a gift worth more than any success or money. Later that night, after the twins were asleep, Emma found a card that Olivia had given her. Inside was a photo of the first training group and a simple message. From one difficult moment came thousands of better ones. Thank you for seeing the person I could be, not just the person I was. Emma smiled. That was what the whole program was about, seeing the best in people, even when they weren't showing it themselves. The end.